My name is Sophia, and looking back, I realize how the choices of our youth can shape us in ways we never expect. At 24, I was a dreamer with a freshly minted nursing degree, stepping into the world with stars in my eyes and a heart full of ambition. Chicago's Mercy General Hospital was my first battlefield, a place of chaos and hope where lives were saved and lost in the blink of an eye. I thought I was ready for anything, but nothing could have prepared me for the path I chose, or the two men who would become the center of my world during those wild, reckless years. It was 2003, and I was a wide-eyed graduate, clutching my resume like a lifeline as I navigated the hospital's sterile halls. I'd spent years studying, sacrificing sleep and weekends, dreaming of the day I'd wear a nurse's scrubs and make a difference. But reality was harsher than my textbooks. The hospital was overflowing with experienced nurses, and for a young woman with no connections and no experience, the doors seemed firmly closed. I was desperate, applying to every department, but the rejections piled up, each one chipping away at my confidence. That's when I met Dr. James Carter, the chief of surgery. He was a legend at Mercy General, a man in his late 40s with silver at his temples, piercing blue eyes, and a presence that commanded every room. I'd seen him in passing, his white coat pristine, his voice calm but authoritative as he directed the chaos of the ER. When I was called to his office for an interview, my heart raced with hope. Maybe this was my chance. His office was a sanctuary of dark wood and leather, a stark contrast to the fluorescent bustle outside. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze steady as he reviewed my resume. "You're bright, Sophia," he said, his voice smooth, like aged whiskey. "But we don't have openings for someone with your limited experience." My heart sank, but then he leaned forward, his eyes locking on mine. "However, I could make an exception. I see potential in you. But nothing in this world comes free." I froze, my breath catching. His words were veiled, but the implication was clear. He wasn't offering a handshake or a contract, he was offering something far more dangerous. I should have walked out, should have clung to my principles, but I was young, desperate, and captivated by the way he looked at me, like I was more than just another applicant. "What are you proposing?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled, slow and deliberate, and stood, crossing the room to stand closer, too close. "A private arrangement," he said, his hand brushing my arm, sending a shiver through me. "You get your start here, and I get something in return." His fingers lingered, warm against my skin, and I felt a rush of fear and something else, something that made my pulse race. Before I could answer, a knock at the door startled us. "Dr. Carter?" a voice called, rough and low. The door opened, and there stood Noah, one of the hospital's ambulance drivers. He was in his early 30s, ruggedly handsome with tousled brown hair, a stubbled jaw, and eyes that sparkled with mischief. I'd noticed him before, leaning against his rig in the bay, trading jokes with the paramedics. He carried himself with an easy confidence, and now, as he stepped into the office, his gaze flicked between me and Dr. Carter, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "Bad timing?" Noah asked, but he didn't leave. Instead, he closed the door behind him, and the air in the room shifted, thick with unspoken possibilities. Dr. Carter didn't step back, didn't break the moment. "Not at all," he said, his voice steady. "Sophia and I were just discussing opportunities." I should have been alarmed, should have run, but I didn't. There was something magnetic about the way they both looked at me, something that stirred a part of me I hadn't known existed. Noah stepped closer, his presence warm and grounding, and when he spoke, his voice was soft, almost tender. You don't have to do anything you don't want, Sophia, he said, but his eyes told a different story, one of curiosity, of invitation. What happened next was a blur, a moment that felt like stepping off a cliff. Dr. Carter's hand found mine, pulling me gently toward him, and his lips brushed my cheek, then my mouth, in a kiss that was slow and deliberate, igniting a fire I couldn't ignore. Noah watched, his gaze intense, and then he was there too, his hand resting lightly on my waist, his breath warm against my ear. "Is this what you want?" he whispered, and I nodded, caught in a tide I didn't want to resist. That night in Dr. Carter's office was the beginning, a secret that wove itself into the fabric of my days at Mercy General. I got the job, a position in the surgical ward, where I learned to thrive under pressure, my hands steady as I assisted in operations. But it was the nights, the stolen moments, that defined those years. Dr. Carter, James, as I came to call him in private, was a man of quiet intensity, his kisses deep and commanding, his touch a promise of things I'd never dared to dream. Noah was different, playful and warm, his embraces like coming home, his laughter a spark that lit up the darkest shifts. Our arrangement wasn't just a transaction, it grew into something more, something tangled and beautiful. We met in James's office after hours, or in the quiet of the ambulance bay when the hospital slept. There were kisses that tasted of coffee and longing, embraces that felt like surrender, moments where the three of us were bound by a connection that defied explanation. I'd catch James's eye across a crowded oar, his gaze a secret only we shared. Noah would brush past me in the hall, his fingers grazing mine, and I'd feel my heart leap. But it wasn't without cost. I carried guilt like a shadow, wondering if I'd betrayed myself, if I'd traded my dreams for something fleeting. Yet I couldn't deny the way I felt, alive, desired, powerful in a way I'd never known. James and Noah weren't just my lovers, they were my confidants, my anchors in the chaos of the hospital. James would talk about his past, his regrets, in the quiet after a long night, his voice soft as he held me. Noah would steal me away for late-night drives, the city lights blurring as we shared stories and dreams. Years passed, and the dynamic shifted. I grew into my role as a nurse, my confidence blooming, my skills earning respect. The arrangement with James and Noah faded, not out of anger but because life pulled us in different directions. James retired, moving to a quieter practice, and Noah took a job in another city. I stayed at Mercy General, my heart a mosaic of memories. Now, looking back, I don't regret those nights. They were my rebellion, my exploration, a chapter of my youth that taught me about desire, about the complexities of love. I'm older now, married to a man who knows only pieces of my past, but those years with James and Noah shaped me. They were my secret, my spark, a story I carry like a hidden tattoo, visible only to me.